going? And welcome to the Coach's Classroom, where we don't just talk ball, we teach it. My name is Scott Pellegrin, Coach Pell, and joining me today in the Coach's Classroom, in his actual classroom, he is a Delta State alum and conference champion, a 13-year coaching vet, all the way from Boone, Mississippi. He is a defensive coach at Destrehan High School, and his claim to fame is that he once caught an ass chewing by Pete Golding, my friend, Wild Bill Hawkins. How are you, man?
Not just Pete Golding, but Ron Roberts, too. I've had plenty by both of them, and they were both well-deserved. It made me a better man.
Ain't no doubt. I would say that, too, trying to get some of that SEC dust on you. I hear you. Hey, I would do the same thing, man. So, man, how's it going at Destrehan right now?
Man, it's good. We had a little disappointing end to the season. You know, we just came upon a team that got hot there at the end, ended up winning the whole thing. And it was just their night, I suppose. And we're hitting off-season stuff right now. You know, trying to hit the weight room stuff hard. About to start the strength and conditioning portion, the agilities, and all the fun off-season stuff that you're supposed to be doing in January and February. That's going to be starting up here real soon for us. But other than that, it's classroom stuff mostly right now, doing what we're actually paid to do, teaching.
Well, they say teaching pays the mortgage. But I like to tell people. So when I got to, I didn't know, I don't know if I could call them BS jobs, but I mean, they are what they are.
Right.
You know, I didn't know those existed when I started teaching at South Lafourche. And then when I found out they did, I really, really wanted one. So when I got throughout my career, I was at EA, you know, doing Quest for Success elective and yada, yada. I'm like, man, it's hard to go back to a real classroom after you kind of live that easy life as a coach.
Yeah. But then I'm in a good situation here with other teachers here. I'm not the only one that teaches my course. So we're able to collaborate a lot together. And I've learned a lot from them. It's made my life a lot easier too.
Dude, that's awesome. When I was, you know, I'll give EA some more credit. Our PLCs, he was an educational term. Our PLCs were actually really good, and the department head really took care of the department, and there was a lot of collaborative stuff, but everybody kind of had a singular vision, a lot like a football team. So what are you coaching now at Destrehan? I know this is your second stint at Destrehan. I mentioned 13 years in the game. You were at South Lafourche High School. You were at Destrehan. You were at South Terrebonne.
Yep.
Now you're back at Destrehan. What are you coaching right now?
Right now, I'm coaching safeties. Don't
Okay.
forget, I had a stint with Nichols too there for the spring and summer as a volunteer coach of 2020, but COVID kind of shut down.
That's right.
All that stuff. So I had to find an actual paying job other than volunteering as a coach, and that's how I ended up at Destrehan the first time.
Well, dude, talk to me about that. So talk to me about, because you got out for a little while.
Yes.
You got out for a little while, and you're kind of in back. You know, you wanted to get back in, and you ended up getting that volunteer gig. So walk me through the thought process of getting out of coaching after you had been doing it for a handful of years, and then wanting to get back in, and what that volunteer life was like.
So a lot of the issues that I had that pulled me out of coaching were just stuff that I did myself. You know, I was trying to do too much, burn myself out really fast, and just lost a love for it. You know, I just had to step away from it for a little bit, and ended up getting out of teaching altogether too for a couple of years. Just I was ready to just get away and try something different. I felt like I was kind of stuck at the school I was at. It was actually my wife's alma mater. We lived right down the street from the school, and I felt like I wasn't going anywhere, and I needed to do something else and try to do something to help better my family. So I took a job in the oil field for a couple of years. Still helped out here and there with the South Lafourche football team with the head coach at the time, Blake Forsyth. Just offered help here and there where I could offer it to help him out. And then just one day, you know, was just caught the itch again. You know, sitting there, just messing around, and I think I was watching a game on TV, and I just started drawing plays. You know, just for fun of just say, oh, this is wonder how I used to do it. This is what I used to do. And then after that, I was like, okay, I've got to get back into this. I've got to find a way back in. So at the time, spent a lot of time in prayer and discussions with my wife. And I knew at the time, I was like, hey, I want to get into the college game. I felt like that was something that I wanted to do out of college that I didn't really get to do, just with the situation me and my wife were in when we first got married, and she was still in college, so we couldn't really make that work. We had to have an actual paying job to pay the bills. So ended up reaching out to some of the coaches at Nichols. Ended up being a few visits here and there, just getting to know them. Then I asked them if I could be a volunteer coach. Met with Coach Rebo and Coach Rybacky, who's the current head coach at Nichols. Discussed some things with them, and Coach Brian Wallace, who I'm still really close with. He's the head coach at Vanderbilt High School now. And they offered me a volunteer spot, and I was working through them with the spring on my off days on my hitch in the oil field. And the Friday before I was going to quit my oil field job on the Sunday, that was like our second or third spring practice, and everything shut down with COVID. I was like, let me hold on to my paying job for just a little bit longer and see what happens, see what's going on. So they shut everything down. Ended up going through the summer, helping them out virtually and doing what I could to help them out there. And then I was talking to my wife. Said, "Hey, like it looks like something's like this ain't happening this fall. I'm trying to get a high school job because high school is still playing." And the coaching staff there had worked previously with Coach Marcus Scott, who's our head coach here at Destrehan. He had just gotten the head job at Destrehan. He had worked at Nichols previously when Coach Rebo and all first got there, so they recommended me to him. And I think I got hired 2 days before school started, and ended up coaching there for 2 years.
And I know Rebo was once the head coach at Destrehan, state championship head coach at Destrehan High, I believe.
Yeah, he played here too. Him, his whole family, right. They're legends around here.
Okay, yeah. So I knew there was a connection there, and it's great you got back in because I think a lot of people have gone through that little burnout phase, and whether or not they have the situation where they can get out, and thankfully the opportunity to get back in, that's really awesome. So you coach in safeties at Destrehan, and we're going to kind of get into our topic today is structure and practice. More specifically, how as a position coach we structure individual drills, and what goes into the selection of what skills you're going to work that day, and then how do you figure out how to work those skills, and what does that look like as a position coach? Because to give a little more background on you, you were a defensive coordinator multiple times. You held the title at South Lafourche and South Terrebonne. For my people in Baton Rouge, those are two different schools in two different parishes. I went to one and worked at the other, but that's not neither here nor there. But you're a multiple time defensive coordinator, as am I. And a lot of guys operate different, and I asked you before we did this episode, hey, let's perfect world, no constraints. If it was your baby to construct, what is just a general plan of how do you structure your things from day to day?
Right. So like the biggest issue I find is like that comes from being a position coach as opposed to a coordinator is you don't always get to choose how long you get to work with your guys or what you want to work with your guys specifically. So you either have to steal time here and there where you can, or combine some things. You got to get creative with what you do in order to still get the work in that you need to work on, and fit it all within those time constraints too. So one of the things, and this is something that I got from watching one of the Nichols spring practices. Again, I was just talking with the coaches there, just visiting one day, and I saw Coach Ryback and Coach Wallace. I was just out there watching them. One thing they do is they have like a pre-practice buy-in. So it's some real low-intensity drills. So it's before they even stretch or anything. So it doesn't require a whole lot of like active movements or anything like that. Like I said, it's real, and it's just extra drills that you don't usually have time to work on. So as you're going onto the field, hey, it may be D lineman, hey, let's get some quick power scoots in so we can work compressing gaps. Or it might be, hey, it's scoop drill. Let's work on scooping the ball. Hey, drop the ball, scoop it, do it 2 or 3 times. Boom, you're on the field going to either pre-practice stretch or to walk through whatever it is. I was always a big proponent of going to like a Jenkins sled, taking the bag off of it so you just have the posts. And this is something, again, I stole from them. Stab and grab. So one of the big components about playing defensive football, regardless of position, is hey, you got to be able to get off the blocks, right? So I try to train my guys early on. Hey, we've got to work always inside hand position, thumbs up. So when you have those 2 posts on the sled that's missing the pad, we get some real quick stab and grabs. Just stab it, grab it, and then you can peek off of it. You can shed off of it, all that stuff. But you can do that as you're walking out to the field. Again, it's low intensity. You're just trying to really ingrain that movement, that motion, and that feeling of that inside hand positions over. And you can I've done it on a goalpost, right? Take the pad off the goalpost, hit the goalpost, right? I mean, there's different things you can do with that. It could be like just a real quick shock and shed. You can work, just take some, like DBs aren't the best catching the ball, right? That's why they play DB. So, hey, listen, I'm going to throw some extra balls, throw some high balls, throw some low balls, getting used to handling a ball, maybe getting some punches and some pokes on a ball carrier, right? Just something real simple, low intensity, quick and easy, just that extra work that you don't always have time to do. You get hit that on your way out to the field. It only takes a few seconds, and you're not missing it, or you're not late for any of your other stuff, right? So that's, if I notice something, hey, I don't have time to work this in my indie drill, or I don't have time to work this during practice, or hey, I haven't been able to work this a lot during practice this year, I'll throw that into a little pre-practice buy-in. Like, hey, this is how you earn your way onto the field today, right? So that's usually like the first thing I'll look at. I'll go off of that. But then if I'm choosing my own indie drills, I always like the ABCs of indie. And I've coached linebackers before. I've coached D-line, so it's all the same structure and format, but it changes based on the position, right? So the A would be like your agilities, B would be your block destruction, C would be your contact, which is your tackling stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The miscellaneous, I guess you can throw a D in there. I couldn't find the good D word for it to match it, but that would be, hey, my game plan skills. Like, hey, what do I need to work on to fit the game plan this week? That's just
right.
The extra stuff, right? So, I mean, like we said earlier, sometimes we don't have as much time as we'd like to get indie in, right? So as you go through the season, hey, it might only be 5 or 10 minutes a day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making sure I'm hitting all those other points. How do I do that? So I have just like most people, I have my list of indie drills, right? I have all my agility drills I like. I have all my block destruction drills I like, my contact, my tackling drills that I like, and all those. So how do I work all those different things within a short time period? That's where you got to get creative with it, right? So let's just take like just a simple block destruction drill, right? So if I'm working block destruction, I can work an agility into a block destruction. So I'm either going to change up the beginning of the block destruction or the end of the block destruction. I'm not just going to work shock and shed. Like, not saying that we don't do that, but that's not the only thing we're working. If I know to work a tackling drill, and I've always been big on, hey, I want to work tackling every day. Doesn't have to be to the ground, but some form of the tackle, whether it's the clamp, whether it's the approach, whether it's the finish, or whatever it may be, I'm working tackling every day.
You find yourself having to put some of those A's, B's, and C's all in the same drill because you might only have 10 minutes to work with. So you can't have an A, then a separate B, then a separate C, then put them all together. Sometimes you gotta hit them all within one kind of structured deal.
So, and you just got to be creative with it. So say I am doing just a simple shock and shed drill, right? Well, first of all, like I said, if I'm doing tackling every day, I also want to be doing block destruction every day, because nothing infuriates me more than you have, this DB, he can play man covered. He's great at playing man. Or, hey, he's good at playing the deep half, good at playing middle of the field, right? Awesome. But then what do they do when the blockers get up on them? And they engage. Here comes the ball carrier, and they just let him go. And they're trying, I can't make a tackle. He's holding me. Yeah, he's holding you because you never destroyed the block. And
there's more to being physical on defense than just getting the guy on the ground. You got to, the offense is, the whole premise is they got to block you so they can go score a touchdown. So if you don't work block destruction, what are you doing?
Make yourself difficult to block. So I work block destruction stuff all the time. And I try to tell my guys, hey, you're not always going to be in an advantageous position. So some days I'll work what I call advantage block destruction, and I'll work disadvantage block destruction, right? So, hey, you're in a bad position here. How do you get your leverage back, or how do you get back to the ball, or what do you have to do to get back to it? And it can turn some nice little competition. I have some guys that they'll get after each other. They have one kid particularly that everyone hates going against him when he's the offensive blocker. He's good at it. He's physical. He works them. But it's teaching them how to, like, hey, like, you're not always going to be in the perfect position. What do you do then? Just like whenever you're tackling, hey, not everything's going to be the perfect profile phone booth tackle. That's all we worked whenever I was in school, if we ever did work tackling, right? So how do you work when you're in a disadvantage?
That's an intangible, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So how do you work that when you're at a disadvantage? That's my thing. So I want to put them in bad positions and say, hey, you're still expected to make this play. Here's how you do it.
Right.
Hey, here's the skill to be able to do that. Like, I kind of got away from what I was talking about. So, like, one day I might do like a different agility into the block construction. Hey, we might work pedal, T-step, when we got to engage, get off a block. Or hey, it might be our slam steps. If I'm playing like an overhang position, I'm reading in man of the line of scrimmage, slam step, boom, and I might have to drop and get to my zone drop, and here comes the blockers, quick screen, something. Just we change it up every day, or I'll change the end portion of it where boom, we're getting off a block, and now it might just be an engaged tackle. Like, hey, I still got to hang on to this ball carrier or this blocker, I'm sorry, and fit up the ball carrier. Or it might be, hey, like I'm in that disadvantaged position, the ball carrier's going away from me, I got to get off of that, and I got to wrap and roll the ball carrier running away, right? And the other portion of it too is not only can you combine drills together like that. I'm sorry, my classroom, if you don't move around enough, the lights shut off. So anyways, if like I can take the same drill, but I have different points of emphasis on it. So right, so maybe one day, hey, I'm focused more where your eyes at. If I'm taking on this blocker, I want to make sure your eyes in the right spot. Or next time it could be hand position. All right, this time we're make sure you have make sure your hands are where they're supposed to be. We're getting here, getting engaged, getting extension, all that. The next day it could be their feet or their hips, right? Or their leverage, right? Or just whatever, right? So I can take the same drill, coach it 3 or 4 different ways, and have a different point of emphasis each time to make sure that they're hitting all those spots. I mean, the drill lists don't have to be very long, right? There's only so much you can do, right? And then the better you are getting at those foundational things, the better they're going to be playing on Friday nights. And that's what you want to see. You want to see those drills carry over to the game, right? So that's one way I try to do that.
And I always find you got to, a lot like you're describing, you got to put your guys in it's almost like they're in pods. They got to be in some sort of realistic type situation. Like you said, if we're freezing for the RPO or taking slam steps, I think that's what you were referring to. If we, what does that look like if it is screen? Now you got a tackle coming at you. Like, what are you going to do? Or hey, ball away. How do I get myself back in pursuit and go become part of the play? And those little small scenarios, I think those are the ones you end up seeing show up most on Friday night.
Yeah. So I've spent a little bit of time as a soccer coach, and one of the things that I learned from coaching soccer is one of the best ways to teach the game and prepare them for the game is to give them what's called small-sided games. So it's little game-like scenarios. It might be a 3-on-2 drill or a 3v3 drill. Well, hey, I want to try to do the same thing with my guys. I'm not just going to work, hey, we're not just going to shock and shed you off a block. We're going to like, hey, this is a screen fit. Or, hey, maybe I end up being the end man on the line of scrimmage in certain calls, and I got a pulling guard coming towards me, right? How do I take that on? How do I engage that blocker and stalemate him when he has size advantage over me and everything? Like, how do I do that? Because they got to still be able to do that based on their position. So you got to teach different parts of the game. And I'm glad you mentioned the pods thing. That's one thing like I like to do whenever I was a defense coordinator is you can take these little pods and you can script it out. It's really easy. I mean, on Huddle, you can print out the little play cards. I like doing that for my walkthroughs. So that way I can give the scouts a piece of paper, and they're flying around, and we can get a lot more reps in with walkthrough, right? Same thing with these pods. Whether it's passing pods, you can do half line, or you can condense the field. You can do it in between the hashes. So that way you can just work on, hey, how do we match these routes? Or, hey, how do we cover this concept, right? And you can do it out of all your coverages. The same thing in the run game. You can take your front 7 and do the same thing in the run game. These little pods. And again, this is something I stole. I think I heard it off a podcast I listened to a couple years ago. But let's say you want to work on run fits, right? So you take your front 7, you put them up there, you give the O-line cards and all that. And there's different ways you can go about it. You can have your same calls, and you have like, hey, this is our base call, base fits, whatever that may look like, right? And you run 6 to 8 different plays against that, right? So that way, okay, now I know how to fit each of these runs with my base call. Or you take the same call and say, hey, they're just running, they're running power, right? Now I can take 6 to 8 of my different calls, whether it's a pressure or a different front or a stunt or whatever else I want to add to it, and I learn how to fit up each of those plays with my different plays, right? So that way you're just getting those reps. You're just adding those reps to those kids. And they're learning it, and they're getting like it's not full speed looks, but they're learning how to fit it without having to bang it up, and you just give them those extra reps. And again, that's crucial. That's how, again, it's ways you can steal time.
So I want to go back to DB play for a quick second before we kind of jump into the whole defense, because I really like where that was going. Let's just say you are safeties coach. What are some non-negotiables that are considered every day for you? Could be a skill. That doesn't have to be a drill, but could be a skill. Could be something you work on. Whatever it is.
So, they got to have good footwork. They got to be able to work, like be able to change direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like any DB you want them. You want them to have speed, and there's ways to hide and mask speed with certain calls and all that, right? But I do want them to have quick feet. I want them to have physical, heavy hands, so that way they can take on blockers and all that. Because if you're physical, those receivers they don't
right.
want that. There are a few receivers that will get after you, but they're few and far in between. Like we were I thought really good on our edges this past year, because both guys that I had like our overhang position were heavy-handed guys, and they weren't afraid to just run through a guy's face to get off the block, right? And receivers don't want to block that, so I like them having physical hands like that, and they got to be good at owning their leverage and with their eye discipline. So one thing tracking the game, and it helps the teams, especially have the helmet stripe.
Yeah,
you can see where their eyes are at,
mm-hmm.
right? So I can tell, hey, you're in man coverage. I see that helmet snap like that during the play. Like, hey, you lost your eyes on your man. That's an eye violation. Or hey, like I'm a hash safety. I'm a quarter safety, and two's my read, and I see that helmet stripe or something peak where it's not supposed to. That's eye violation. So I constantly preach, hey, this is where your eyes have to be on this call,
mm-hmm.
on this play, right? Like I said, owning your leverage. That's one of the key components of defensive football, and especially if you're an overhang player, you're more often than not going to be a force player sometime. Or
right.
most of the time, right? So I got to own my leverage. So if the ball's coming out to me, he can't get outside of me. Even if there's a blocker there, there's no excuse. I have to own my leverage. So how do I do that, right? We got to have guys that can do that and get the ball carried to the ground. Look, I don't have to be the prettiest tackle. I'd rather my guy make a good solid like thigh board hit and get knocked
mm-hmm.
back and ran over, but the ball carrier goes straight down. Everyone goes ooh and all, the offensive player, but hey, he got 1 yard.
Well, you got to snap the ball again.
Snap the ball again. Like that's a win for us. Like, hey, I'll take that. Yeah, it's embarrassing. It'll show up on his highlight tape, whatever. Hey, like I'll take that all day. Like if you're a sure tackler who understands your leverage and owns your leverage, to me, like you can play a lot of good football like that.
So from a coordinator's perspective, so put your coordinator hat on. How much did you, and you talk about, doing these kind of plays within a plays or working on your fits and how involved were you in planning practice from the standpoint of, okay, well, if I'm the defensive coordinator, you're the defensive coordinator, and you coach the inside backers, what hand did you play in helping the assistant coaches plan their day? Were you somebody that said, hey, we got to make sure we hit on skills A, B, and C? How you do it is up to you. Or did you give people rope?
So it depended on the coach, right? So it depended on like, hey, like I'm working with him a little bit. Do you know your stuff? Or hey, do you need a little bit of help? And I'm open with him. It's like, hey, if you need help, if you need a drill, if you need some way to do this, let me know. If you already have something for it, and you can walk me through it and talk me through it. And it's the point I'm trying to get across with that drill. Perfect, man. It's all yours. Just make sure we're doing what the skill we need to be working on, right? So, there's some coaches I worked with that, hey, I had to script every single drill they did, and I had to tell them how to do it every single day and all that. But, they needed it, and they got the job done. It was fine. There's no problem. There's other coaches I've worked with that say, hey, coach, I want to work on how like we got to work on engaging blockers, power scooting off of it, engage tackling, right? I know you got drills for that. Usually I've seen those drills, and I've worked those drills with them too when we had time in the summer and all that. So I just trusted them with that and say, hey, as long as you're working this skill, drills whatever you want it to be. And some days, like, hey, like I love doing as many circuit stuff as I can. I love getting the tackle circuit in as much as I can. But some days I'm like, hey, like we don't have time for tackle circuit today. We need more walk through time. Or hey, maybe we need to hit some pursuit stuff again, which pursuit stuff's awesome if you structure it a certain way and you hit it in multiple angles, right? It's not just pursuit. I can go on a whole nother tangent on that.
So can I.
Oh yeah. But
dude, we've had this conversation off camera before. That's why.
yeah, so I'm usually like someone like that. Hey, I'll trust you to do it as long as you're hitting the drill we need to do, we'll do that. But hey, like maybe today add the tackle finish to it. So hey, this is your drill
Mm-hmm.
you always do. You always do that. Add a position specific tackle drill for you. So if I'm the corner coach or I'm working with the corner coach, like hey, I don't need you working in the box profile tackles, right? You never get that. You need to work leverage tackles, sideline tackles, roll tackles, the one that your players are going to be doing 90% of the time.
Right.
That's the kind of tackle drills you need to do with your drills. So yeah, it just depended on the coach, and it depended on like how much I'd worked with them. And then there's some coaches that I worked with that 1 year I'd kind of hold their hand a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
and then the next year like they showed me, okay, yeah, just as long as, like I said, as long as you're doing the skill that I need, drill is yours, and
Right.
I'll leave it to them.
So let me ask you this: what role does toughness play in a defense? Obviously, everybody wants a tough physical team, and you hear, it's almost cliche at this point, but I kind of have a thing that I say, and I'm gonna give Coach Zito a little love right now because I know he's gonna listen to this. But I think cliches are cliches for a reason, to a large degree, and everybody wants a tough physical team. Can that be taught? And how does that look when in terms of when you're installing a defense, when you're teaching a defense, when you're going through all of this stuff, when you're trying to structure your individual stuff? Can toughness be taught? Are there ways to increase the physicality and toughness of your team if they don't have it inherently?
I think yes, definitely so, and it all comes down to how you structure stuff, how you organize those things, the words you use around the kids. So one of the things that I got from Coach Dennis Skanes, when he gave me my first job opportunity at South Lafourche years ago, one of the things that I got from him early on was like, hey, we're going to use violent words around the kids, right? We're going to talk violence to them so they can understand that. It's like, hey, we're not just going to tackle this guy. No, we're going to try to explode through his rib cage and drive him through the ground, right? You want to kind of talk those violent words to them. So
you have to exaggerate what you're looking for.
Yeah, so that way, like, they start hearing those things, and just like the psychology behind it, they start hearing that, and they start doing that a little bit more, right? So when I first got to South Terrebonne, I'd watch the film on the kids. I'd heard a lot of things about them, like, hey, you can't do this with this kid. Like, hey, this kid's not very good at that, and all that. And I was looking, I was like, okay, well, how are they being coached? Like, what were they being taught how to do these things? Were they did they ever have the opportunity to work it? I mean, all those things. So when I first got there, one of the non-negotiables was running to the ball, right? So, and again, that was a few years ago, so I don't know if I'll still be able to do this. But one of the things I did, like that first spring, was, hey, if I'm preaching running to the ball, I'm running the ball with you, and I better not beat you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at the time 30 plus years old. I don't need to be running to the ball and beating y'all. Y'all are high school athletes, right?
That's also a Skanes thing that I've stolen in the past too.
Right. So I mean, there's other ways to go about doing that now, especially as you get older. If you can't run as well, if you some days the wheels don't work like they used to.
I know you're still an athlete, Hawk.
Yeah.
Have a little faith in yourself, kid.
Yeah, but I found more. I don't want to say lazier ways, maybe lazier in my standpoint where I'm not running around, but still just as effective and efficient.
It's smarter, not harder, boss.
No,
believe it.
But yeah, so like that was one of the things. Like, and day one we practice. Hey guys, there's nothing more important right now than running to the ball. I'll preach the leverage stuff later on. I can teach you how, like, from what angle you need to approach it from. I'll do that stuff later on. Right now, we need to work on getting to the freaking ball, right? So we did that. We had to rep all summer. So by the time we got to like our jamboree, I didn't have to say it anymore. The kids expected, they were holding each other accountable. Right. The next year, same thing. They're holding each other accountable, and they knew because it was expected of them to get to the ball.
So right? I find this, and I just want to piggyback on that for a second. So, when you get to a new place, and I know the situation you were in at South Terrebonne. We talked with Babin about it last time. When you're coming into a new place and there's so much stuff to fix, and I know that from the head coaching perspective, right? I never got a defensive coordinator job as, okay, me and this person are going into a new place and, we're going to fix it together and we got to make sure we're changing culture and doing all that. I've been elevated more times than not. Right. So I was already kind of within and helping shape culture. So it wasn't as difficult. But when I became a head coach, And it's no different than teaching skills on defense. You're just teaching different things that you want from your locker room and from your program. And it becomes, all right, well, and I'm not going to speak for you. Everybody's different, but it sounds like, well, you know what? If I have to pick one problem that is the most important that I got to take care of immediately, I got to get this changed right now before I can change anything else. Defensively, it sounds like pursuit. And I would love to hear other defensive coaches on, like, if, you had to pick one. And when I was a head coach, it was a variety of things. And it was, I had a laundry list, pages and pages of stuff that I'm like, all right, we're going to do this, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? At 1 year in hindsight, it was like, instead of trying to pick 100 battles, probably should have just picked 10 and mastered those. And then you put the building blocks of your culture. But back to defense, is pursuit kind of one on that list?
Yes and no. To me, when I was watching the film on them from the years prior, they just weren't a good tackling team. They lost leverage. They didn't know how to properly make the tackles. Like the pursuit stuff was kind of more like set the tone effort. Like, hey, this is the effort you are required to play with here. You can't play this effort. You can't play. Right. So that was just kind of like what you said earlier, trying to like set the tone, trying to preach toughness to them. Like I had kids huffing and puffing. I'm out there huffing and puffing with them. I say, guys, like there's nothing more important than getting to the ball. Right. It's more important than your next breath you got to take.
Yeah.
Like, just trying to like emphasize that point. Now I knew that, also saying, like watching the film, like, hey, they miss almost 30 tackles a game in some games, right? And again, it wasn't necessarily the fault of the kids, it wasn't necessarily the fault of the coaches. It just was what it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they're coached. They might have worked tackling every day. I have no clue. But I knew going into that, I was like, okay, I need to work and focus on leverage and tackling. So every day that I was there, it didn't matter if we had pads on, no pads, all summer. We worked tackling every day, and I'm a big proponent of that because I like studying rugby teams. Okay, they get away with doing it year round. A lot of their pre-practice stuff, they're tackling to the ground. No, it's controlled, right? And they have different drills, and a lot of the drills look similar to a lot of the football drills we have now. But if they can do it controlled without pads on to the ground year round, why can't we? So that's training your body. Okay, this is the position you should be able to strike from, like getting that good bend in the hips, like the Z in the knee. Is you mentioned Coach Golding earlier. That's one of his phrases. I heard him say it when I went to visit him this past summer. Z in the knee, right? Just getting those good angles in your knees, hips, and ankles, right? Just on approaching and attacking and finishing the tackle, right? So I had to work on that. So we broke it down really, really simple. Like we were on our hands and knees and like, hey, we're striking and going to the ground. I call this a little simple drill called triangle drill. So, hey, you need to get your cheek on their cheek, right?
Right.
So that way, like just like, hey, this is the position you got to be in to make this type of tackle. We worked that all the time. We worked the track and drill everyone does. I added different variations as we went through to it, right? The profile tackle, like we had a crash pad, we had the tackle wheels, all the things. I mean, we had plenty of stuff, plenty of equipment, so we used that stuff as much as we could every day. So while the bags and all are good, you still need to get them used to feeling a body,
right?
Attacking the body. So we might start already fit up with no pads,
and
I'm running my feet and shooting my hips and just running through that tackle into a crash pad. If we didn't have crash pads, we used the little agility bags and laid them down, and they fell on that. We could also do it to where, hey, there is no pads today.
Got to find a way.
Control yourself on the way down, the ball carrier. So if you're the ball carrier, you got to be a good teammate, take care of yourself, take care of the other guy, right? You got to teach those things.
There's no substitute for, and I think I saw some Kirby Smart thing the other day, where he talks about how often they go live reps, because there's really no substitute for, like you said, a body on a body. Yep. Whether it's the coaches that say, hey, grab cloth, wrap and squeeze, drive for 5, the Pete Carroll stuff, whatever it is you follow, there's no substitute than actually feeling what that feels like. One of my favorite ones, teach profile. Anyway, I did it with safeties this year because, there were just situations where we had to make profile tackles in the box, whether it be because of a mistake, whether it be because we're playing a heavy personnel team, and when you play heavy personnel teams, in my opinion, guess what? They make skinny guys fit box tackles. That's just how it is. Yep. And as a safety, you're the safety net. You're the last line of defense. So you know what? Sometimes everything ain't gonna be nice and pretty in front of you. You're gonna have to man up. Well, we took a agility bag. I put a football on it. I put the defensive player 2 yards away. Put the offensive player right on. Pick up the ball and pick a side. Mm-hmm. And we're just gonna get that nice little pop, quick whistle. But you get that pop, you get that wrap and squeeze. And I found for younger guys, it kind of got that timidness out of them kind of quickly. They got that little pop, but knowing it wasn't a full blown win the drill kind of thing, it was more of a teaching tool.
Right. So one of the things that I like to do too when I can, I mean, I don't do it all the time, but sometimes I have to model what it looks like. Mm-hmm. So I'll control, say, hey, like, I like, hey, can I use you? Can I hit you? Controlled. I'm not hitting kids, but I'm showing them, hey, this is how you fit up a tackle, and I'll run my feet a little bit, and I'll ease them down to the ground, right? All that stuff. So that's one of the things I had to do at South Terrebonne. Was like they didn't understand the concept, so they're in pads, we had the bags and all that. So hey, like, do you care if I tackle you? And the kids said, no, go ahead. They thought it was fun. So I just gave them a real quick pop, just to show them this is what we're looking at. And the very next kid that did it just absolutely nailed it. I'm like, all right, so now we're starting to get somewhere, right? But then again, you're going back to, like I said, getting a body on the body. Look at the last 2 years of the college football playoffs. The teams that had the byes, only one of those teams out of the 8 teams that got a bye has won their game, right? Yep. That was Indiana. And now Indiana is what they are this year, right? They look like they're awesome and they're poised to possibly to win it all. Everyone else that's had that first round bye has lost. So, I mean,
bro, they look like they could beat the Giants right now.
I'm not going to comment on that, but yeah, like it shows. I mean, when your body gets when you're not used to that contact, you're not used to doing those things, you lose a lot of it quick, right?
It's callous. You got to build the callus. You also got to get reps doing the thing you're going to do on Friday night. And I'm not advocating for full blown balls to the wall all day, all night, but there has to be some stuff where you mix in where, like you said, it's body on a body, yep. And that's something I kind of have a criticism for myself this season with the DBs. I don't think I set up enough of those small situational, things where we applied the drill in a small group setting before we got to a team setting, right. And that's something that I did with other position groups that I need to do with the DBs. So let me shift a little bit here. So what are some, so you're a secondary coach, former defensive coordinator, all the things. You're one of those, and I'm not just blowing smoke, you're one of the smarter defensive guys I've ever met, like football coaches. Like you are very intelligent in the way you think about the game. What are some schematic trends you're seeing now in the high school game?
So high school, you're starting to see, I mean, most everyone, the tight front stuff, it's still here. You see it, it's come and gone. It's still here and there, right? But what you're starting to see more is what you're seeing at the college level. Everyone's like putting skill on the field, right? They're trying to get speed on the field. I mean, there's different ways to go about that, right? And I found just from the games we played the past couple of years, a lot of it's regional too. Mm-hmm. Right, so the way they play football in North Louisiana is a little bit different than how we play here in Southeast Louisiana, Central Louisiana, all that.
Dude, I could tell you stories from when we ran that gauntlet at EA 2 years in a row. We had 2 or 3 3-1-8 games. Okay, so we had Ash, we had Neville in the playoffs, we had West Monroe one week. I mean, and I know we're talking defense, but I'll give you a special teams example. I was talking to our special teams coordinator not long ago during the playoffs when, it looks like we might play Ruston. There's this northern team, Ouachita's still there, whatever. We're trying to just kind of scope out what it's going to look like, and we're working alternative kicks and catching alternative kicks. And I said, man, and I was telling a story about this particular year. I'm like, man, in North Louisiana, but they just love a sky kick. They don't kick it deep very much. And y'all went north 3 times 2 years ago.
Yeah, so 2 years ago, we played at Alexandria in the season. In the playoffs, Ouachita Parish came down to us first round. Mm-hmm. Then we went to Northwood Shreveport in the second round. Then we went to Airline in the third round, so right back to Shreveport. And then we went to Ruston in the semis and ended up losing to them.
And you'll get Coach, you'll get the gambit. You'll get the gambit of offensive sets too. Like, you get Ruston with 22 personnel, with who has enough skill to kind of jump in some other things to make you honest. You got, I don't know if it's Airline or Parkway up there, but they're wide open.
Airline. So Airline, I forgot the quarterback's name, but he ended up signing with Northwestern State after that season. He could sling it. He was pretty good. They had Kenny Darby, who was a top receiver in the state, right? So they were just all wide open all across the yard. By the way, if you've never been to Airlines Football Stadium, it has one of the coolest aesthetics I've ever seen out of a high school stadium. Right, they're the
Really?
Vikings, and you feel like you're going into a Viking warship when you're going to that stadium. It's like the whole thing's just awesome setup. Like they've nailed the aesthetic of that stadium. Just a quick little shout out to them.
That's awesome. So sorry I jumped in. So you said regional. You're starting to see some trends that are regional. Go ahead.
Right. So I mean, like you said, up north, I mean, same thing. We saw a lot of the same things, special teams wise. Like when we played Captain Shreve this year, so we had to go to Shreveport this year in the season. That was kind of our one of our out of district games, and they line up two kickers. Right, one every single time. It's either sky this way, sky that way. Hey, we're gonna fake onside here and sky that way. I mean, there's all kind of stuff. So I mean, we essentially almost had to have the hands team out there every kickoff return. Because I mean, they did all kind of weird stuff like that. But yeah, it just depends. Like I said, up there it's a little bit more wide open, right? Then you get to like northeastern Louisiana, where your West Monroes are, where your Rustons and all are. They're gonna be a little bit heavier. They're gonna use heavier personnel. Then you get down to the New Orleans area. It is a little bit more true 10, 11 personnel spread. And then this past year, same thing. Like some of my friends I've talked to, some of the people who are mentors to me, when I asked them a couple of years ago, hey, like what trends do you see coming in football? They said, I mean, everyone's starting trying to put more speed on the field. So teams about to start getting bigger with you again. They're going to get 12 personnel sets and mix and match it everywhere. So teams that we played that I've been in this area for like 13 years now. Teams that I never saw play heavy, I saw play heavy this year. It's more 12 and 21 personnel sets, and you got to find ways to defend that. But not only that, they're getting into 10 personnel sets with those guys too.
Well, in my opinion, big man football still wins, no matter what pocket of the state you're in. If you could find a way, and maybe it's not talking 100% of the time, but if you could find a way to get heavy in the heavy situations, and you could get those personnel changes taken care of, then you got a really good chance to be good. Because I really do believe, high school football is about stopping the run, about being big, but like you said, and there's some teams who they'll jump personnel groupings and not change guys and you'll see a lot of big 5A teams who switch personnel for every personnel grouping. They got something unique. But man, and I have noticed this, like talking about big man football coming back on our schedule this year, man. We at Zachary, I felt like, we saw so much variety, and we're in Baton Rouge, or the Baton Rouge area, and you see so much variety in the Baton Rouge area because, you see teams who have really athletic rosters and really a lot of speed on their roster. You have teams that got a little bit of that in moderate size, but enough size to get big with you and a whole bunch of different things. I mean, I give you an example. At Woodlawn, some people thought we were crazy, me and Coach Reeves, and it's all credit to him. He was our offensive coordinator. We ran a spin package, a single wing spin package we put in, and it wasn't necessarily heavy per se, but it had a lot of misdirection, single wing T. It kind of had that flavor to it. And we also had a short yardage goal line package that was best 11. Well, we took the quarterback off the field in that thing. That's how committed we were to being big, so
you're trying to match the scheme to the personnel you have, right?
Yeah. And look, it wasn't something we didn't major in either one of those things. Right. We might've ran the spin package over an 11 game season. We got in it 3 times. We ran heavy a little more because you see short yardage a whole lot more, but the spin package was a gimmick, but he was able to get it coached up, and it was like, oh crap, that's a hell of a curveball from a team that's usually 10-11, historically 10-11 spread.
Right. So my big thing is like, so what do you do whenever these teams are getting heavy and you don't got the heavy guys, right? Because like when I was at South Terrebonne, I mean, like a lot of our D linemen were my size. Now we had a couple, like 1 or 2 that were a little bit bigger, but the majority of the guys that I dealt with weren't D line bodies, right?
Right.
Even high school D line bodies. I mean, I had smaller guys. So like, hey, like, what do you do then? Like these teams are going to get heavy with you. I mean, I can't
make sure you don't get out leveraged.
Yeah, I can't expect my kid to just sit there all night and just get teed off on all night and be successful. That's on me as a coach. That's my fault if the kid doesn't make the play. Not his, right? So a lot of that we stunted a lot. We slammed. We did a lot of different like run stunts and linebacker plugs and pressures just to try to get the advantage back. Where when teams were trying to heavy personnel us, right? So like, hey, like I know we weren't very big, but I had a couple smart kids that get us lined up in certain things. But I know, hey, like you're not going to beat us to the edge. Like I'm going to waste a couple of your blockers just with some of the scheme stuff we were doing. I'm gonna try to force the ball into a small area where I want it to go, and I'm gonna have bodies there to make play. I'll waste one of my kids, wasting two of your blockers. You think about like chess. He's my pawn, right?
Right.
But the thing is, when you teach it to the kids, not to emphasize this with them too, I said, hey, you're not making this play. You're not making the tackle. This is not going to show up in the stat book. This ain't going to show up in any highlight film or nothing like that. But us as a defense, as a team, we can't make this play unless you do this job. It's all about doing a job. And those kids, they owned up to it, and they took it on and did a really good job of doing the things I asked them to do with that.
And I found that with edge defenders. That was heavy cover 3 influence here. Like I'm a big fan of that, and I used to like to run that. I used to find that with edge defenders who might not have been the best athlete in the world, or they were good enough to play high school football, but it wasn't what you consider to be just that's a guy they got to run away from or anything like that. I remember one year we used the third corner, who probably wasn't going to get a lot of playing time at corner, but he played our nickel safety, our star, or we call him a strong safety. But point is, because coach I was working with said, well, dude, we're just wasting him out there. Like, that's okay. Like, he's going to set an edge in the D gap. We'll force the ball back. He's not very big. He ain't going to have to face many big guys. But that presence right there, like you say, he's a pawn. He's essentially, I'm going to waste my guy right there knowing he's not going to fall back in and make a play. However, if he could just get that running back chopping his feet on the edge, it gives the other guys who are better players a chance to go make the play for him. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I did plenty of that stuff. Like, I mean, you have to know.
But it takes buy-in, though, from the kid. The kid's got to know, like, I ain't making tackles at this spot. I moved the kid from weak safety to that nickel safety because of concussion issues, and he was a hammer. I mean, he was running the and look, again, not a college guy, but man, he was running the alley like a really good high school player. But he was having some issues with injuries, concussions, this and that. I was like, man, he'll take way less contact out there, but he'll be smart out there. Ain't nobody getting around us. And we had bigger guys inside of him, guys who could move inside of him. Like, he'll set an edge just fine. But I remember, never forget, he came to me after, when we moved him. He's like, Coach, I feel like I'm not doing much out here. Like, am I doing things right? Like, it wasn't from a selfish point of view. It was like, hey, am I screwing up? Like, no. We're going to watch the film on this tomorrow, and you're going to see just how valuable you really are just doing your job out there,
And the plays will still sometimes come to them, too. So
absolutely.
Things like I had one year we ran like just simple edge pressure, slanted away from it. And my kid that was in a 4-eye run of the slant, well, he always hit his gap. He did his job. Did things he's supposed to do. Well, we do it enough. And he comes through there, and nobody touches him. He has a free shot in the quarterback and plants him for a 6-7 yard loss, right? So it's like, hey, I mean, you do your job like you're supposed to, the plays will come to you.
Absolutely.
Right? And once I showed them that, all the other kids like, okay, like now we see it, we got it.
Doing your 111 actually matters. Doing your 111 is the plays will come to you, and again, another cliche, but when you stop worrying about me, you'll be surprised how good we all look if you don't care who gets credit. And about a stat line.
I like the Mike Leach quote on it. Be the best at doing your job. Right?
Absolutely.
Be the most physical guy out there. Right? Be the best at doing your job. Have the most fun out there. Right? All those things, man. You do a lot of successful football if you do those things.
Coach Email likes to say, the guy, our corners coach is Zachary. He likes to tell the guys when they, and this is not applicable to what we're talking about. He says it when they, well, no, it is because they're not doing their job or they're peeking somewhere else they're not supposed to on a play or whatever. He's like, man, mow your grass. Mow your grass. So that's kind of our little rallying cry in the DB room sometimes. So as we begin to kind of wind down, I want to throw a few things at you, a little word association, man. So, I'm going to give you a phrase or a word or whatever, and you just give me a couple of word response to it, whatever comes to your mind first. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Culture.
Culture to me would be ownership, right? It takes ownership by the players, by the coaches, right? And it's that's a big one to me. Like everyone has a role to play, everyone has a duty, everyone has a job, right? You take ownership of your culture, of your job in that culture, right? That can lead to a lot of really good things. That all the things that you want to see out of a program, right? You get those kids to focus on, like, hey, take ownership of your job, right? Take ownership of your role, right? All the good stuff that we want as a team will all take care of itself.
Yeah. Hey, everybody's got one, whether you like what it is or not. Everybody's got one. So, so next, accountability.
Accountability. So for accountability, I mean, to me, it's the same thing. That's responsibility. Like, hey, are you going to show up to practice on time, right? Are you taking care of your grades in class, right? Are you being responsible for being responsible for all the little things, right? So we preach and talk about all the little things, do all the little things right to take care of the big things, right? So to me, accountability is responsibility. You got to be responsible for your job. You got to be responsible in having your eyes are supposed to be on that play for whatever the call is, right? You got to be responsible for owning your leverage. If I'm an edge defender, if I'm an inside out piece or whatever it might be, right? I need to let my teammates know, like, hey, I'm taking care of my responsibility. You can count on me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Bill High. Great coaching staff. They're doing a lot of really good things over there, trying to turn that program, bringing them around. It's a tough program, but we just don't like those guys. We want to beat them. We have won the last 8 times we've played them. Hopefully we can make it 9 this coming year.
Absolutely. Favorite coaching memory, or 1 or 2, whatever comes to your mind.
Favorite coaching memory. Well, a lot of the coaching memories isn't. I mean, the wins are great, the losses are great, but a lot of it's about the people you spend it with, right? Whether it's coaching staffs that you spend it with, or some of the players. And one of my favorite things to do is, like, every now and then seeing players just years after they got out of high school, just checking in to see how they do. They come up to me. They always just willing to talk to me. I love seeing how successful they've been. We have a lot of really good fun times I've had just with other coaches. I mean, usually it's just doing stupid, ridiculous stuff. I mean, I'm sure there's a couple stories you and I could tell that probably don't need to be told on the podcast at our time at South Lafourche High School. I think you know exactly what I'm talking about, but it was good times.
There's a few. There's me versus the chair.
Yep.
There's the boot.
Dodge boot. Yep.
But this one I want you to tell. There's two South Lafourche stories I want you to tell. I'm going to kill rapid fire for a second because you brought it up, so I got to go with it. I want you to tell the mixed nuts story. And then I want you to tell the story of the night we played Amik Robertson. Mixed nuts, go.
That dude's still playing. Like, let's do the Amik Robertson one. Because, I mean, this one of our associates, good friends, Chandler Guidros, he brought that up to me too, man. That was so long ago. I forgot what it was, to be honest.
Felt like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, doesn't feel like it, but it was. But I mean, I think one of the things with that, we like every time for pregame on a game day, we'd go to Tobacco Plus. That was across the bayou at South Lafourche, buy our little snacks and all to eat pregame and have in the office. And I think I might have lost my cool over one of my snacks I had or something like that. I don't remember much else other than that. That's one of those memories that's kind of faded over time.
All right, so Blake Mathern, Mr. Football 2008, by the way, 50 touchdowns.
He scored 50 touchdowns too, yeah.
He did score 50 touchdowns. He poured out. Hawk had like a bag of trail mix, yeah. And he poured it out on a napkin. So he didn't waste it on the floor in the trash can. He poured it out on a napkin, so he could have still ate it. But he poured it out while Bill was in the bathroom. And Hawk, I'm not going to do your accent, but you talk funny. You talk funny compared to us Cajun folk.
Well, that's what happens when you're from Northeast Mississippi too. And trust me, mine's not near as bad as some of the extended family I have up there.
Well, I believe it. And you come out of the bathroom, you look down, hey, my dad got mixed nuts. You just start going wild about the mixed nuts. And you kept saying the phrase mixed nuts in the hillbilly accent. And I mean, we all just lost it. But you're right, man. It's a lot about who you spend it with. But man, I want to hear the Amik Robertson story. Because people ask me, so I come up here and I work at Zachary, and Zachary's got all these guys who are big time. And when I was at EA, we played all these guys who were big time from other schools and other programs, Destrehan included. So I've seen wave at your there you go, wave at your classroom. So personally, I've seen some really good players in person, but like people say, who's the best guy you ever seen in a game, your own two eyes? I still think it's Amik Robertson, Thibodeau High.
I mean, there's a reason he's still playing in the league. There's a reason why the Lions like him. You know how the Lions they want that physical brand of football player. They want those good football players, right? I mean, I know he's been a stud from the get go. So it's my first year as a defensive coordinator at South Lafourche, and we're playing at Thibodeau, and we're doing pretty good against him the whole game, right? I mean, he's cornerback, obviously, played offense some too. We're playing decent the whole time. We're doing pretty good, and
he was mostly a wildcat quarterback. Like he really wasn't. Yeah. He wasn't every down. So when he was in the backfield taking a snap, we kind of had a beat on what was going to happen. Now whether or not we could stop it, different story. But we kind of knew what was coming.
Right. So we're going in. We're on the 1 yard line. Going in, we're about to put the game away. I forgot how much time's left in the fourth quarter, right? But it's not much. It's like maybe 5 minutes.
I'm terrible at recalling certain things, but I do remember that night. It was about 5 or 6 minutes.
And like we punched that touchdown in, we win the game, right? I mean, we had them. So our kid, as he's falling in the end zone, ball gets punched out, and he scoops it, scores 99 yards. I mean, we still have the lead, but things just start unraveling a little bit on the sideline. With our demeanor and with you can tell just once the coaching staff started showing it, the kids followed suit.
We didn't even as coaches, we were all way younger back then too. Like we didn't respond to adversity very well. Not in that moment.
No. So we
bunch of guys in their early 20s, it was what it was.
So they get the ball back. Something happened. I think they stall us on offense. They get the ball back. And he's in at quarterback and all those things. And you were coaching corners for me at the time, if I remember correctly. And one of our players, Quantaz Bentley, he was playing corner for us.
Oh, cute.
And you're telling him, hey, Quant, you're trying to tell him some quick little snippet just to help. Just give him a quick little reminder on the play. He's a little bit further away from you, right? So you had to kind of yell at him. And he looks at you, shakes his head, and he starts running to the other side of the field. And he's the last piece of that the defense right there to play the ball carrier, and then Amik Robertson took it around the end, and he just held on the goalpost. I remember, I think I blacked out. I remember what I said though. Like I don't think I said anything wrong or demeaning towards you or anything like that.
I can't tell you what you said because I don't remember that part. I know
I do remember. I'm just
I know you felt bad about it. You didn't really jump ass. That really wasn't your deal. Not with coaches, at least. But no, it was just funny. If I remember right, it was GT left. Amik saw the corner.
Bailing.
Overcorrect. Whatever I was telling. And I wasn't even the guy I was talking to. And Amik's just like, yeah, there's nobody over there. Whoop, touchdown. No. And I learned a lesson that night. Don't coach a kid who's already on the field. But you got to be careful what you're saying and who you're saying it to in that situation, because the situation of they're on the field, can they really hear you?
Right.
And is that little nugget of information going to make or break the play if you just shut up? Because what happened was we screwed it up because I just tried to overcoach it when it's like, again, I don't even remember what I was telling them to do. It might have been watch out for this, watch out for that, which is not coaching whatsoever. But it was just in that moment, it was crunch time, and we were like, we got to stop the bleeding, and it ended up making it worse. So I learned a lesson that night. Don't coach a kid who can't flip and hear you.
So, I mean, like I said, he ended up doing a lot of really good stuff for us that year, too. I mean, he played hard. He's a great kid. I mean, did a lot of good things. So, I mean, that wasn't necessarily his fault, right? That's is what it is. But, yeah, that definite big memory from him. Like I said, Amik's doing a lot of good things in the NFL now. I mean, he's had a fantastic career.
Dumbest thing you ever did as a coach?
Ooh, that's almost daily, right?
Babin didn't want to answer it.
Dumbest thing. So, I mean, I don't necessarily have anything that I'm like, oh, that student, you'll get fired for that, right?
Right.
It's more along the lines of like things like I wish I could have back that I wish I would have done different. Like, oh man, that was why to make that call, or why did I choose this? I mean, or like one of the biggest regrets I had coaching was, I think it was the year before I was the defense coordinator at South Lafourche. I was the special teams coordinator, and we're playing East St. John at home, and we're up in the game, and they score less than 10 seconds left. They score a late touchdown to tie it up. It's like, okay, we got to block the kick to like at least force overtime, right? So this is something you never do. I was like, hey, like we got to pressure. Like, hey, we're sending edge pressure off both sides. We're sending both corners off the edges to try to block this kick. So we got to block the 20s. I mean, we're not supposed to be St. John. That's how we do it. And we have a really good shot to do so, right? Now, leading up that play, like they had two tremendous receivers that year. I mean, we really didn't belong on the same field as them, but I mean, that's just one of the things with Coach Skanes' teams and defense. They're tough, they're physical, like they're going to give you every little thing that they can. So he's told me before, and that was my mistake too. He told me before, like, hey, you never want to send guys off both edges, right? Just a safety thing, right?
Yeah, they'll run into each other.
Yeah, and that's ended up being what happened. One kid, he was laying out for it. The other kid, crown of his helmet, caught him in the side of the head, and they had to stretch him off the field. Like, he ended up, like, nothing was broken and all that, had a concussion, but, I mean, that was his senior year, and that I think he only got to play a few more plays the rest of the senior year.
Yeah.
Right? And that's one of my biggest regrets. Like, hey, like, the kid's safety is not more important than winning the game.
Mm-hmm.
I have a responsibility to take care of these kids. And if I asked the kid to do it again, he probably would say, yeah, coach, I'll do it again. I'll go block this kick for you, just wherever you need, right?
Yeah.
But again, like just stuff like that. I mean, there's you never want to lie to these kids. That's one of the things I try to be as honest as I can with them. Just try to let them know, like, hey, like, if you're not doing good enough, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you the things you need to do, right? To get to do all these, like, I'm gonna be as honest as I can. Hey, maybe this year you're just a role player. Right. Maybe
right.
You got to do your role. Maybe it's just special teams, right? We got to work hard this offseason, whatever it may be. Right. That's how you build trust with these kids, which is why that kid, I built trust with that kid. If I asked him to do it again, he said, yeah, coach, I do it again.
And as a coach, I don't want to say all you have is your credibility, but man, that's the one thing you can't lose is your credibility. And you have to work to gain credibility with everyone, your coworkers, your kids, everything.
Yeah, it's all relationships, right? You got to have strong relationships with your kids. I mean, you got to show that, hey, you're willing to go to battle for them.
It is a people business.
Why would they go to battle for me? Why would they fight for me? Why would they play for me if I'm not showing them, like, hey, like, I'm in this with you. I'm willing to do all the dirty work, all the things I can do to help you out as much as I can. So it's just, and it's more than just the football stuff too, right? It's like, hey, man, like, how things going with your family? Like, hey, like, how things with you and your girlfriend? Like, just little things, like see him in the hall, like tell them good morning every morning. Like, every single one of my football players that comes down the hall, or even former students that taught years past that don't even play any sports here. Same thing. Hey, good morning. How's your semester going? How your class is going? Like, just those little things, they add up and they build up. And I mean, it's one of the I think one of the key things that you got to get right about this job is if you're not good at building relationships, other stuff really matter.
Absolutely. So, last thing, we're at 1 hour and 3 right here. Final thoughts, Hawk.
Man, like I said, I've spent a lot of time coaching with a lot of people, man. I'll openly say that you're one of my closest friends I have in coaching, man. I appreciate all the things that you've done for me, all the times that man, I know our wives aren't really fond of our phone calls and text messages that we have going all the time.
Why do you and Bill only talk about football? Yeah.
Yes and no. Yeah, but that's. But
it's
like,
okay.
we go hang out somewhere right now and talk about anything else other than football. But I mean, that's what we enjoy. Hey. I'm always open to talk fishing or play golf or anything else like that. But I mean,
it's that hardball thing, man. I like football. I like guys that like football. They tend to like me back. Like, it's Yeah. But
that's a good one.
Man, Hawk, I appreciate the time. I know you're cooped up in your classroom. Go home to your kids. Hopefully you got something to eat when you get there. But man, this has been
excited.
Absolutely. See, I'm the one. I'm on dinner duty, so I got to go get on that. But man, Hawk, I appreciate you guys. Coach Bill Hawkins. This has been the Coach's Classroom, where we don't just talk ball, we teach it, and we are out. Thank you.